What if the thing holding your summer garden back costs under $1 and has been sitting in your bathroom cabinet all season? That brown bottle of hydrogen peroxide most people reach for when they cut a finger does things in a July garden that most experienced gardeners have never tried. By the end of this, the way you look at your soil, your plants, and even the rain changes for good. If overlooked garden science is your thing, there's more every week on this channel worth subscribing. The item at number 7 does something to a stalled compost pile that months of turning can't match, and there's a real published study behind the temperature data. And the item at number 12 reframes what watering actually is in a way you'll carry into every season after this. The list climbs from useful to genuinely surprising, starting now. 1. Seed soak, the head start nobody takes. You've soaked seeds overnight in water before a summer planting. That works. But seeds soaked in a diluted hydrogen peroxide solution are doing something different at a cellular level. Research published in Frontiers in Plant Science found germination in sugar beet seeds improved over 70% compared to plain water. The extra oxygen molecule accelerates the internal enzymes that break dormancy and simultaneously strips surface mold before the seedling ever breaks ground. Gardeners miss this because it sounds clinical, not agricultural. Think of it as flipping the seed switch from waiting to ready before it ever touches your soil. 2. Tool sterilization, the spread you're causing without knowing. Late summer, you prune one sick tomato stem and carry that pathogen straight to the next plant on the same shears. Rubbing alcohol evaporates before it finishes working. Hydrogen peroxide at 3%, wiped directly on blades between cuts, breaks down pathogens on contact, and then decomposes into nothing. No residue, no buildup. Summer gardeners lose entire rows to exactly this kind of invisible transfer. The fix takes 5 seconds, and this is still the easy end of the list. 3. Fungus gnat drench. The larvae you can't see, fungus gnats, look like a flying nuisance. The real damage is underground. Their larvae chew root tips in warm, moist summer soil, and by the time you notice the wilting, they've been at it for weeks. A drench of 1 part 3% hydrogen peroxide to 4 parts water, poured over the soil surface, kills larvae on contact as the bubbling oxygen reaches the root zone. It does nothing to the roots at that dilution. The adults stop laying once the larvae keep dying. 4. Bird bath algae. The summer slime that comes back weekly algae in a bird bath can go from clean to green in 48 summer hours. Hydrogen peroxide clears it without leaving anything your birds will carry away. It breaks down to water and oxygen before they drink. 1 tablespoon of 3% solution in the basin wipes existing algae and slows regrowth. Summer heat accelerates the peroxide's reaction, which means each dose works faster in July than at any other time of year. As useful as this is, the item at 7 does something you can actually watch happen. 5. Propagation water, summer's secret rooting trick. Summer is prime time for taking cuttings, and the problem is always the same. A jar of plain water in warm conditions goes cloudy with bacteria within days, and soft-stemmed cuttings rot before they root. A few drops of 3% hydrogen peroxide in the rooting water keeps it sterile without harming the developing root tips. Change the water every 2 days with a fresh peroxide dose. Cuttings in clean, oxygenated water root faster, and summer warmth means they move faster still. 6. Preventive foliar spray, spraying before the disease arrives. Most gardeners reach for a spray bottle after spotting mildew. By then it's already inside the leaf tissue and you're chasing it. A light hydrogen peroxide mist applied before a stretch of humid summer weather early morning, when leaves have time to dry, creates an oxidizing layer on the surface that fungal spores can't get a foothold on. 1 tablespoon per gallon weekly on zucchini, cucumbers, and squash before any white appears holds back what would otherwise finish those plants before August. 7. Compost accelerator, the temperature spike nobody talks about. A compost pile stalled through summer heat is one of the most frustrating things in the garden. A 2001 study published in Acta Horticulturae found that adding hydrogen peroxide to a composting mass rapidly raised its internal temperature far past the control pile, with no additional turning required. The heat drives microbial activity, and microbial activity is composting. Summer already provides the ambient warmth. The peroxide delivers the oxygen burst that triggers the temperature cascade. This is the item I mentioned at the start. It still doesn't come close to what sits at 12. 8. Soil oxygen drench, the fix for summer baked ground. Summer soil that's been compacted by foot traffic, baked dry, and then hit with hard rain becomes dense. Roots in compacted soil can't breathe, and a plant that can't get oxygen to its roots shows it in the leaves long before gardeners think to check the soil. A drench of 1 part 3% peroxide to 4 parts water, poured around the root zone, releases oxygen directly where it's most needed. Research from UF-IFAS Extension found that treated plants continued growing under conditions where untreated controls died from salt stress. 9. Soil sterilization. Before replanting, the clean slate move. When a summer plant dies from disease, fusarium wilt, early blight, anything soil-borne, the pathogen doesn't die with it. It waits in the soil for whatever you plant next. Before dropping in a new transplant, saturate the area with a 1 to 3 peroxide solution and let it dry completely. The oxygen burst hits the pathogen load in the top layer before the new plant ever roots into it. Most gardeners skip this step entirely. The disease cycles through the same beds every season because of it. 10. Powdery mildew treatment, the white dust that ends summer. If you've grown zucchini or cucumbers past July, you know the white powder that appears on the leaves seemingly overnight. Hydrogen peroxide hits fungal cell walls directly, breaking down the membrane on contact and leaving nothing behind once it decomposes. 1 tablespoon per gallon sprayed on both leaf surfaces every 3 days until the white disappears. Whole squash plants have come back from what looked like a guaranteed loss. The reason most gardeners don't reach for it first is that it's sitting in the medicine cabinet, not on the garden shelf. 11. Root rot rescue, the storm damage you can catch. 2 inches of rain overnight, soil saturated for days. Root rot sets in where oxygen leaves. Anaerobic conditions around waterlogged roots give pathogens the edge, and the plant starts declining from the base up. A peroxide drench at the first sign of yellowing lower leaves, 1 part 3% solution to 3 parts water, poured directly at the base, kills pathogens and forces oxygen back into the root zone at the same moment. Most gardeners adjust their watering schedule after root rot is already established. The window is the first signal, not the collapse. 12. The rainwater revelation, what every rainstorm was already doing. This is the one that reframes everything. Rainwater isn't just water. As water vapor cycles through the atmosphere, hydrogen peroxide forms through photochemical reactions with oxygen radicals. Trace amounts, measurable, consistent, and documented in scientific literature going back decades. Plants evolved over hundreds of millions of years receiving this molecule in every storm. Every function hydrogen peroxide serves in your garden, killing fungal spores, oxygenating roots, clearing pathogens from the soil surface. Is something rain has been doing since before the first garden existed. That bottle under your bathroom sink isn't a chemical intervention. It's you making it rain when the sky won't cooperate. You just learned 12 things about a bottle most gardeners walk past. Seeds that wake faster, disease that never reaches the leaves, roots that survive what a summer storm would have killed. And underneath all of it, the fact that every rainstorm was already doing this work for your plants all along. If this changed how you see the garden this summer, hit like, that's how this channel grows. Drop a comment, seed soak or root rot rescue. Which one are you trying first? Subscribe and hit the bell if you want this kind of overlooked garden science every week. Next time it rains, you'll think of this video.